Hi and welcome to The Winning Factor. I'm Alan Aitken, and on this show each week we take a look at some upcoming races in Hong Kong and try to isolate an angle to the race we might look back on as a path to finding the winner. Well, it's the second leg of the 4-year-old series in Hong Kong this weekend, the Classic Cup, and these three races for the 4-year-olds culminating in the Derby, well, they might not seem that big a deal to the rest of the world, but they are a very big deal in Hong Kong. Owners spend millions every year buying horses for these races, so it's a big day. And while the Classic Cup isn't one of the races I'm going to deal with in depth here, I did think it was worth taking a little detour along the lines of that race just to line up some comparisons with the Classic Cup, which we've already seen run and won as the first leg of the 4-year-old series. So on this graphic here, you can see the winners of the Classic Mile and Classic Cup since the latter race was introduced in 2006. And as you can see, only 4 horses have won both of the races. There have been plenty of surprises in the second leg as well, which we run on Sunday, the Classic Cup. Now, Classic Mile winners have generally run well in the second leg, even if beaten, and even the Cup surprises mostly ran a pretty good race in defeat in the mile on the way. So Mission Tycoon, for example, had run second in the Classic Mile, but still went out 92-1 in the Classic Cup win. And It Has to Be You, he was a respectable 5th in the first leg, but he ignored it 125-1 in the Classic Cup. So while double winners have been relatively few, running well enough in the Classic Mile has mostly been required for the Cup winners who contested both races. So on the rest of the card, the first race we're going to take a look at is race 5, where our winning factor is the draw. Now this is a Class 3, 1200 metres, and I think we can narrow this down to 3 runners. I Give, who has had a tremendous season, winning 6 races so far. John Size trained Toronado Phantom, a very consistent galloper, and Zach Purton's mount, Lady's Choice. First of all, let's go back to February 12, and Lady's Choice here was second to the very promising 3-year-old Ka Ying Rising. So this is race 413, blue and yellow colours from gate 11 for Lady's Choice, and he jumps well and pushes forward, but he does find a couple of other runners with the same idea and is forced to go probably a touch quicker than ideal to get across to the rail and to the front. Now, once there, he still doesn't get any peace. There's a line of 3, while Ka Ying Rising, you see in the red sleeves, just camped behind him with a soft trip. When they turn into the stretch, Lady's Choice, he kicks strongly on the inside, but that early work that he did does tell late, and he has to be happy with what is nevertheless a pretty solid second to a promising horse. Now, less than a week later, we saw the very consistent grey Toronado Phantom when he stepped out for his latest effort on the dirt. This is race 433. He's the grey horse in pink and blue colours and jumps okay, but as is his style, he drifts back for Karis Teeton, getting well back in the field, though the heat map does show that in the context of this race, that isn't the ideal tactic, with only a steady sort of speed up front followed by a sprint home. Compounding that problem, we see in the straight the grey is then held up before he runs on late into 4th position. Now, of course, that is typical of back markers. They do need a few things to go their way to be able to win their races, but there are some things in his favour this Sunday. I think one of the key changes for Toronado Phantom on Sunday is, when we look at the map here, we do have some dedicated pace horses. And that's the challenge that I mentioned earlier for regular leader I Give, if he's to win again. It does look a strong pace this time up front, so that's going to suit Toronado Phantom better than the race shape that we saw in that replay. Though, of course, he will still need to find a way through the traffic. The other key to the map in this is the change of draw for Lady's Choice. Now, at 3 of his last 4 starts, he's had to contend with very wide gates, and things went terribly wrong at a night meeting in the only one where he did draw a good barrier. Now he draws to be able to use the tactical pace we've seen in that replay to be prominent and well in front of Toronado Phantom, but he's going to be the one sitting behind the speedsters this time and getting a soft trip. So the tip from me in race 5, Ladies' Choice. His winning factor, the draw. Now last time we saw him being the chased rather than the chaser. I think that will change this time with some designated speed in the race, but he still has the tactical abilities to stay in touch, while the horse I think is his main danger is probably going to be further back. The other race I'm going to take a look at is race 10, and our winning factor here, the do-over. So this is a 1400 metre class 3 to finish the day, and there will be fans of the very lightly weighted Righteous Arian tackling a new distance for the first time, but there are also strong chances going to be given to Blue Marlin, Superb Kid and Zach Purton's mount Magnificent 9. So first of all, Righteous Arian. Now he's had 16 starts in Hong Kong, he's been doing a pretty good job winning 2 races, but hasn't been beyond 1200 metres. He's been running on at the finish of those races, so perhaps the new distance is going to suit. Let's have a look at his latest run over 1200 metres. This is race 425. He's in gate 3 in red colours with dark sleeves, and as you can see on the heat map, there's no great speed early, but Righteous Arian still finds it too sharp and gets right back in the field. But when the pace picks up through the middle stages, that's going to help him later on in the home straight where the leaders tire, and you can see him there running on between horses to finish just out of the placings. So he has to bring that kind of form to Sha Tin, but I think we can agree that the extra distance does look like it might suit him. Still, I think the key pointer for this race was a different race a few days earlier. Also a 1400 metre class 3, and on this occasion Magnificent 9 was sent out by the market at 4.5, and there were double figures available for Blue Marlin and Superb Boy. So let's have a look at how that race unfolded. This is race 417 and gate 7 blue colours. Magnificent 9 gets out okay and pushes forward as expected, but there are others with similar pace from lower draws and they keep him wide. Blue Marlin, gate 5 in purple, settles in midfield, and out even wider is Superb Boy with purple and pink colours, who also gets back. Now Blue Marlin, he gets a soft run in midfield until he moves out rounding the turn to track up behind Magnificent 9, who has been trapped 3 wide for the whole race. And when they get down to it in the straight, he narrowly gets the better of Magnificent 9, but ultimately Superb Boy and the winner, Giddy Up, get past him as well. So circumstances in a race always have a huge bearing on who beats whom. And when these 3 horses line up on Sunday, there are a few changes that might change the order of finish again. When we look at the map, the horse we saw lead in that race 417 from gate 12 was Super Winner. Now he draws gate 1, and that makes his job easier to take up his usual role in the front, with another speedy horse, Saquin, pressing forward from wider, and I think between these 2 that's going to make the pace very sound. There are a few others with a little bit of speed out wider too, but by and large the pace around Magnificent 9 this time isn't quick, and he comes into a closer gate, gate 3, and I think Zach Purton will have no trouble this time finding a softer trip. Blue Marlin, he gets about the same run, while Superb Kid draws a little bit better than last time, but will again drift back in the field. But the tip from me in race 10, Magnificent 9. His winning factor, the do-over. Now when these horses met last time, I tipped Magnificent 9 to win the race, and so did the market. It was telling us that he should beat home Superb Boy and Blue Marlin. I think the market was right, but circumstances prevented that from being the outcome. This time, I think it sets up even better for Magnificent 9, and he gets the chance to do it all over again, this time with a better result. Well, that's it from the winning factor this week. Enjoy the good racing on Sunday. We'll see you next time.